is INIC, Slim with the tilted brim. Good morning. Over there, Ben Leber at Nacho Leber. Watch our Minnesota Vikings radio sideline analyst on a television, 3 to 4:30 weekdays on Channel 5. Twin Cities Live, 3 to 4:30 today on Channel 5. TCL, yeah, you know we. And all of this is courtesy of Maple Grove Lock and Safe. And here's beloved Nachito. Before the Vikings-Falcons, I think Green Bay beats Detroit tonight. What do you think?
I hope so. I don't know if they're going to, but I hope so.
I think they're going to beat them because the stress that has been put on this Lions defense with these myriad injuries.
Yeah, immense.
Isn't it? It's like
crazy.
Well, okay, so we know Hutchinson and Anzalone aren't playing and are out for the regular season. Hutchinson and Anzalone, heart and soul maybe of that defense. It can be argued. But when you start listing like guys who are out tonight, Malcolm Rodriguez, linebacker, season. Levi Onwuzurike, Josh Pascal, guys like ancillary guys who have done good things that we see, but they only play like half the game. Even their players who are decent, who play half the game on their defensive line, they're out. Their left tackler Taylor Decker ain't going to play. I mean, Green Bay is catching these kiddies at a wonderful, wonderful time, Nacho.
Yes, they are. And the thing is, I've been very impressed with the Lions up until this point because they have a lot of these injuries to either some starters and significant players on defense. Mm-hmm. They've been out for a while. They've been out for most of the season. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like they really have missed a beat. Now, lately, though, with the injuries with the linebackers and all that stuff, now I think you're getting in a territory where it's getting hard to mask some of these defensive line injuries.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but it really, I mean, for like a game, it doesn't come down to, okay, Nacho is better than Kenny Anatolu, but we can get out of this game with Kenny playing 70 plays, and like we'll have Leber back next. It's X amount of players playing the full game where they're used to playing 8 to 13 snaps, and now they're playing 60 to 75. I just envision LaFleur chewing them up late in the game.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think, especially with that running attack that Green Bay has. Right. I mean, they have really, seems like they're hitting their stride, and they can play kind of bully football if they want. They can, I think, match them physically, and they want to match them physically. And, think about, we've had Cash has been out. We've had IP out. I don't think that at any point in the season we've had them both out.
Right.
Now, imagine being in that scenario that the Lions are in where they're both out of the game.
Yeah.
Just those two guys, that really changes the way our defense looks. So just think about them missing both of their starting linebackers. They're out. Mm-hmm. What that's going to look like and feel like from a run defense standpoint, from a communication standpoint, green dot guy, to coverage and all that stuff. Like that's a big time adjustment that they have to make.
And the Vikings are 9-0 with Blake Cashman playing, and that they've won games without Ivan Pace Jr. But it is interesting the way Ben lays that out. And Arizona was quite intentional with running the ball, and it's not the shoe size contest of looking at everybody in the world sees this big, fat number one for rush defense, 74-4 a game. Watch us. Ready? It's not a shoe size bit. It's this is the best way to shrink the game, dominate the time of possession long enough to get inside the red zone 6 times, and hopefully not score just 1 touchdown. Oh, wait, we did that, and that's why we lost. But Petzing crafted a masterful game plan against the Minnesota Vikings, and the Cardinals just couldn't come through. Well, from a standpoint looking at it tonight, I mean, if you can keep these Pat O'Connors and whomever these names are Detroit's going to use tonight, and you and I know the Lions personnel inside and out. There are 3 names who are going to play 50 players or more tonight I've never heard of. It's the stress that's going to be put on those guys with the physical nature of the Green Bay Packers. I think Green Bay is going to win. I think the Vikings are going to beat Atlanta Sunday, and I think the Vikings are going to pull into a tie with the Detroit Lions atop the NFC North, technically right behind them because the Lions beat the Vikings, and I guess it's going to be on for the final 4 games of the season, isn't it?
Let's do it!
It's going to be on, isn't it?
I'm with you on this. I think there's a great chance the Packers win tonight. And
they're 3.5-point underdogs. It's almost like the casinos are like, hey, kitty, kitty. Yeah, we see all these injuries too. Hey, kitty, kitty. Right. Jared Goff's like, watch this. Here we go.
Well, and it might come down to that. It might come down to like we have to get into a shootout with these guys and see if Goff and the boys are up to it. And the best part is the Packers, they've got nothing to lose. I mean, that's kind of they do in a sense from a playoff standing standpoint, but they got to go into thinking nobody's going to think that we're going to win this game. I mean, we're playing at their place. Why not just give them everything we've got?
Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jameis. How can we win?
So I'm with you. And then this weekend, I do think the more I look at this, I was worried about this game maybe a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And
now you like the Vikings by multiple scores. I went with that on Tuesday, and I'm like, wait, I need to see more. Well, I've seen more. And
I know. I've seen more, and it's crazy to think that I think this could be a bigger margin of victory than the Arizona game. And I know a lot of people out there thinking like, oh, but on paper, they're just like, I think they're vastly different teams. I have a lot more respect for Arizona, especially when I was watching the film last week of getting ready for the game.
You're so right.
I'm like, oh man, these guys are actually really good.
Yes. And they're fast.
And I like what they're doing right now. And so I'm excited for their future, especially with the staff over there. So then I turn on the film of Atlanta. And I didn't just watch just that one. I wanted to see what Kirk did in that Tampa Bay game. So I watched
4
that
touchdowns,
game.
0 picks.
I want to see his 400 yards passing in the 4 touchdowns.
That's next level.
And I want to contrast that with what happened last week against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
It is a vastly different team. There's a difference in philosophy in the way that they played Kirk Cousins, in which I think if we fall into the category of the Los Angeles Chargers style of pre-snap defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we're going to stifle their offense. I think we're absolutely going to shut down the run. You mentioned our run game. We're not only first in total yards, but we're third overall in yards per attempt, yards per carry. So that's probably the biggest metric that you can look at when you look at stats. Is not just the overall pass defense or pass offense. It's like it's yards per attempt, and we're third in the league. I mean, but
we were first and second in those categories last game, and big old James and those guys went for 154 on us.
It's fine. It's a different. I think it's a whole different thing, and I think that Atlanta, they're going to probably change their philosophy. They don't want to throw maybe as much and put Kirk in that situation to have to throw the ball. So they're probably going to lean on Bijan a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I've seen it. I've seen our defense. I've seen it time and time again. We have a really good run defense. We just do.
Yeah.
Those guys are playing outstanding. I don't think that they're going to do much in the run game. That's not going to be a huge factor. They're going to attempt to find some balance. As we know, Kirk is much better in play action, although they have not done as much play action as I thought they would be doing. But I feel much more comfortable about a 10-point plus margin of victory this week than I did last week.
The last 3 for Atlanta's offense. I went over this in the open when we did some pressure points. How about this? Weeks 1 to 9. All right, Atlanta's offense compared to the last 3 games. Okay, they were 6-3, 0-3 last 3. They were scoring 24-6 a game, weeks 1 through 9, 12 points a game, their last 3. Their third down percentage, 38.5, down to 29. Red zone touchdowns down from 57 to 25. The last 3 weeks, the last 4 weeks, the Atlanta Falcons, with all those numbers, are bottom 3 in the National Football League. And you played, man. So okay, that's too small of a sample. Well, like when it gets up to 3 games and you're up there around 200 to 250 plays, that's a fair sample, don't you think?
Oh, I think so, too.
This thing's heading the wrong way in a hurry.
Yeah, I definitely think so, too. And I think that the quality of their defenses they've played are vastly different.
Right.
Chargers have a really good defense. Let's see, the Broncos have a really good defense. So I do think that there's the quality that they've played as well that goes into that. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, what I noticed in the games that they're not passing the ball as well, and Kirk is not looking great, he's looking flustered, he's missing reads. I mean, that's a large part of it. He's seen people that he thinks are open, releases the ball, guys are jumping routes, and he's not seeing it as clearly. Right?
He's thrown 15 pick sixes, 7 here. The last one, it's as bad as I've ever seen.
Well, the
one against the Chargers.
The one that he threw against the Chargers, like, this is the thing that it's not even like chess or checkers or anything like this. The pick six, there was a bluff bail concept that they ran where they're mugging at the line of scrimmage and they drop out, whatever.
Bail.
I think that is the biggest way to confuse him, is he's not great with the bluff bail situations. Like, if you have a stagnant defense and he knows what you're going to run, fine. He can tear you apart, right? He's great at that. When you start adjusting and moving guys around pre-snap and moving guys around, that's where he really struggles. That particular play on that pick six, that was just checkers football. It was 4th down. He threw right to the sticks.
Unbelievable.
They called pass plays that went right to the sticks. So what did the cornerback do? Like, well, I'm not going to play 10 yards past the sticks.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my heels. I'm going to drop right at the sticks. And if they throw the ball, I'm going to be there to make the tackle. And then it was an out-cutting route, which was kind of a longer throw. And the corner's like, I see what you're doing. I'm just going to jump this route right at the sticks and take this pick six. Like, it wasn't complicated.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that when I'm watching the film, what they're doing offensively with the play calling, I'm like, there was no deception there. Like, there wasn't a guy that was high, a guy that was low, a guy that was like maybe at the sticks. It was like everybody was running routes at the sticks or lower. I'm like, well, what do you think they're going to be sitting on? You think they're going to be sitting on a deep pass in the post?
Right.
No, they're not.
That's so beautifully laid out. When it comes to, okay, so, I mean, this game is not a football game. It's a tree. It's a McVay tree with a bunch of lashing out limbs. Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson, Wes Phillips, Kevin O'Connell, it goes so, the tree's big and the limbs are getting long. Now, when it comes to that, it's like Kevin, it's Raheem Morris, their head coach, was defensive coordinator, their Super Bowl winning team, so it's kind of going to be like, hey, we worked you in practice then, and we're going to work you again today. That's just nothing personal. That goes into competitive arrogance. So when it comes to the McVay middle attack, middle zone, just like the way he runs offense, because I saw it twice in the Chargers game, one complete, one incomplete, and we've seen it a million times in this offense, is the number one most identifiable thing with the Sean McVay offense and his limbs in Kevin O'Connell and Zach Robinson, offensive coordinator for the Falcons, that deep middle bit, where, you know what I'm saying? It's like Darnold O'Connell Tuesday mentioned on the Aaron Jones fumble, the second one where he caught it and he dropped it. Well, he's like, Jefferson was open, middle of the field. Okay, well, behind him, Trent Sherfield was running for an 86-yard touchdown. And he was in motion right to left, stop slot left, took off that deep middle bit. Think Addison.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. And he was gone. And Sam had time to find him, didn't find him. And it ended up being the Jones fumble. That deep middle thing, just the whole middle with McVay's offense, that's like the calling card, right?
Yeah, it seems like it. Whether it's deep middles or deep overs.
Yeah. What's a deep over? Over the linebackers?
Well, let's just like picture just a 2x2 set, and then you got your, let's say your left inside receiver runs vertically up the field, and then just bends it all the way. And let's say he catches a ball on the other side numbers.
Yeah.
Like we do a lot of concepts where we're trying to manipulate the safeties in the middle of the field and get them off their track.
Right.
And trying to find those deeper cuts that are like more around the numbers to the hash versus the inside part of the hash.
Yeah.
But I definitely think on the intermediate throws, we do attack the inside part of the hashes. So, what I see about those McVay and especially what KOC is doing, I mean, obviously every iteration's a little bit different. KOC loves the deep ball.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason. That's one of the reasons why he loves Sam Darnold, because he has a strong arm. It's one of the reasons why I think Kirk Cousins did so well here is he's always talked about, he wants accuracy and arm strength. And you have to be accurate first. And it's hard to correct big time accuracy issues, but he wants to see the arm strength because he wants the ball air yards to go down the field. And we've seen that, in basically every quarterback that's been in there. I mean, even look at Nick Mullins when he comes in. I mean, he's not He's not checking the ball down. It's not West Coast. It's not Tom Brady-esque.
Yep.
It's get the ball down the field. And I think he has a great opportunity to do that. So that'll be, I'll just jump right into my Maple Grove lock and safe lock of the week. We will have at least 300 yards passing against this team.
That's it?
Don't do this again.
Well, no, I'm just like, is there more to the lock?
Yeah, well, I'll explain more.
Please do.
But, I mean, I think...
Don't do what again? Why'd you come at me?
Well, no, I think he's referring to a couple of weeks ago. You had 3 sacks. Which game was it?
It was Chicago, I think.
That's right. And we browbeat him into going for 5.
Oh.
We sacked Caleb 3 times.
Exactly.
Well, no, having 300 passing yards would actually be big.
It would be big.
Darnold has one 300-yard passing game here.
And they've only gave up one 300-yard game.
All right, well, here's the key to ending the awkward nature of this bit that's transpiring weekly for all the public to hear. Mm-hmm. Stop texting me things that you're not going to use for Maple Grove Lock and Save.
No. I'm not saying...
You sent me T.J. Hawkinson's going to have the greatest tight end game in the history of tight ends.
No.
So I think you're going down that road, and then you're like...
It's a part of it.
Maple Grove Lock and Save, lock of the week, 300 passing yards. Cool. Can I get a little more? Like what you shared in the text?
I was gonna further explain how I got there, but it has when I text you. So our bit is for the public consumption is if you say like, "Hey, are you in for Thursday?" Mm-hmm. My answer is no longer is just like yes or no, can't make it. If it's a yes, I don't just do thumbs up.
Right.
I give you some sort of play call.
Yeah.
So I go, and there's hot going.
I know, but I think it's the bit.
I know. But it's not necessarily tied into the lock of the week.
I got it.
But in this instance, when I say that Sam's going to throw for over 300 yards, I do think Hawkinson's going to have a big part of that. I really think that you can, going back to your point, really manipulate the middle part of this defense. I think their linebackers are just okay. They don't.
Judon. He's like Judon's like Yannick Ngakoue. I mean, he just rushes the quarterback. That's pretty much it.
Well, I'm saying they're 2 inside guys. Is it Landman and Ellis?
Yeah. Okay, Luther's kid, Caden Ellis. I think that's Luther Ellis's kid.
Oh, is it?
I think.
I don't know that.
You know who Luther is?
Yeah.
Defensive line immortality for the kiddies, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that was his kid.
It might not be. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I'll believe you. I don't know. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I got wide out for the depth chart.
I think that we can play action these guys to death.
He's the son of Luther Ellis.
Thank you.
There you go. I think that we can play action these guys to death, specifically over the middle of the field. I don't think that their linebackers do a very good job redirecting and getting back and getting depth into those passing windows. So that does open up things for Hawkinson.
TJ.
But I'm saying overall, this defense has only given up one 300-yard passer. That was to Baker Mayfield. Bo Nix had 295. That's it. So, you look at their pass defense, not giving up like huge games.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been there, but they're on one this weekend.
Now, one thing I was going to ask, though, is Maple Grove Lock and Save, lock of the week, 300-yard game. Dig that.
Love it.
Would you ever be so bold as to put in that Liberty Safe a turnover-free game for the Vikings offense, who have only done that in 2 of their 12 games this season, Mr. Leber?
Damn, we've done it twice this year.
Twice.
I actually would not have guessed that high. I would have said 1 max.
Yeah, it was Houston game and then the Rams game, despite the loss. We didn't turn over the ball in the Rams game.
All right, let's do that. You can talk me into. Let's go for
turnover-free game.
Turnover-free game. Aaron Jones.
They're playing so fast right now.
Aaron Jones is not going to turn the ball over this game.
Oh, great.
Sam Darnold's going to stay on his heater. He is not going to turn the ball over.
That's awesome.
So yeah, let's go 300 plus passing yards. No turnovers by the offense.
Okay,
that's sweet.
I love it. Do you believe it in your heart?
I do. I believe this one in my heart more than I believed you guys talking me into the 5 sacks.
Yeah. How many did we get that game?
We got 3. I said 3, and you guys are like, that's it?
Yeah.
We average 5 a game. Like, I know, but I'm watching their offense, and I'm looking at this like, you really think we're going to get Caleb on the ground 5 times?
That's a great
And
point.
then you guys talk me into it, and I'm like, fine, 5. And we end up getting 3.
Do you think it would be wise? Is it pragmatic for me to put On the game calling depth chart, do I need to include Michael Penix Jr.?
I always love that one.
There's no unless he
gets knocked out.
Unless Kirk gets knocked out.
Mama says knock you out.
Unless he gets hurt, there's no chance. You know how demoralizing and humiliating that is?
Agreed.
If they pull him in this game, if he starts the game and they pull him because of performance,
but
it's over.
O'Connell and Flores are so ruthless. They're ruthless individuals. And think Dre Greenlaw, Monday Night Football Niners last year. Oh, you haven't played 3 games? Let's go ahead and test that leg and throw at him 10 consecutive times. Hawkinson's running up and down the field. Greenlaw had to come out of the game. Leg started to hurt a little bit. Then it came back. It's Flores, O'Connell the coach, Flores and the staff. Whatever is making Kirk look old or his steps are off, he's only scrambled 2 times.
I know.
From like more than 400 pass attempts, he's like one of 10 in the last like 10 or 20 years to only have 2 scrambles from that many pass attempts. So he's not trying to move either. I mean, what I'm saying is that Flores, you know, he smells that proverbial blood in the water right now.
I agree. I agree with you. We just have to make sure that we don't get over our skis and we still do everything we can from a pass rushing standpoint to get after him because just like he did here, if he faces and feels pressure in the pocket, he does not do a great job holding onto that football. He still tries to make plays. He's very loose with the football. So there's a part of that. I'm shocked after watching Cam Akers come back from 2 Achilles injuries and run the way that he does. And then I watch Kirk Cousins. He still looks like he's still not 100%.
Wow.
And I don't get it. And I'm like, you don't.
Even if he's thinking about it, he's not 100%.
Correct. Like there's something about his body mechanics, and maybe it's just the fact that they don't even ask him to move. I mean, he's a statue back there.
Right.
He takes a shotgun snap. He takes about 3 steps. He posts up, stands tall, and tries to throw the football.
Yep.
There's very little movement out of him. They don't waggle him. They don't sprint him out. They don't boot him. It is bizarre, just the philosophy that they're taking with him versus what KOC took with him.
Is the sky the limit for Sam Darnold moving forward? That and more with Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter and Twin Cities Live 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5 today, courtesy of Maple Grove Lock and Safe. That and more around the corner on KFAN.
This is a great setup, Bob.
I know, right?
Good stuff.
59th time's the charm.
Got to be the charm, right?
There we go, Paul!
Former Minnesota Vikings cornerback Cam Dantzler went to the tweet machine an hour ago, and Cam wrote, "I know I was immature and had some growing up to do as a man and as a pro. Me not being on a team right now is crazy work, though."
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, he's under contract with the San Antonio Brahmas. And how I know that is because in researching Parker Romo's lifetime long of 57 at Lumen Field in the XFL. By the way, and we never got to this because he never kicked one that long, but Parker Romo's 57-yard make at Lumen Field where the Chickens play, it is the longest made field goal of anybody in the history of the Cappuccino Capitol Field.
Is that right?
Seahawks, adversaries, XFL, college, high school, the whole thing. So, so when I was uncovering that, and Cam Dantzler, hey, on the 2025 San Antonio Brahmas. Who knew? But he just tweeted, like, you would never do this. I would never do this. But what purpose can this possibly serve for Cam Dantzler? Writing like, he's opening a vein here. I know I was immature and had some growing up to do as a man and as a pro. Me not being on the team right now is crazy work, though. And then he has the emoji with like the palm on the head.
Yeah.
I mean, like what positive can come out of this? Or is it just somebody opening up to everybody and like, here's a big step that I'm taking. I'm opening up to everybody, granted on social media, but it's a new me.
You know, I think it's a sort of a classic case of a guy that maybe you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And it happens a lot with young football players that, you think it's always going to be there on a day-to-day basis. And all the old heads and all the people tell you the whole time that, like, no, man, like, you gotta like appreciate this every day because it could be gone in a second. And, now that it's for the time being, it's gone.
Yeah, I think it's gone for good.
You look back and you think about, that opening part of his post is basically his apology, his public apology of like, listen, I'm self-recognizing that I was immature and I didn't handle myself the right way. Like, I wasn't, quote unquote, the pro that I needed to be successful. I'm willing to take ownership over that. But when you feel out of sight, out of mind, and then you're seeing some of these guys like Emmanuel Forbes get cut, you're seeing some of these cornerbacks get injured, and you're seeing, some of the cornerback play that's out there, you do kind of wonder yourself, being still a young guy that he is, wanting to think that his prime is still ahead of him, that it is crazy. Why, if I believe in myself and I'm a talented football player, and now that I feel like I'm more mature and I can be more of a pro, why am I not getting a phone call? And I'm sure that he's talking to his agent all the time, like, anything?
Yeah.
Anything? Like, nobody needs me to come on a practice field or a practice squad.
Awful.
Nobody thinks that I can be of service to them and develop in their system. Like,
that's so sad.
It is the lonely kid that's sitting outside his window looking at all the kids play while he's at home sick.
Damn, Nacho.
That's what he's doing right now.
Right. Okay, 3-2. Wow, I'm beautifully laid out, but it's so sad. For Sam Darnold, was the Jacksonville game the bottom, and the sky's the limit from here because he's been so clutch?
It's hard to tell now what the sky is for him. Like, where is the ceiling for him? I think he's broken past every expectation and every false ceiling that there was before the season started and what we all thought about him. And of course, every quarterback's going to have a bad game. Kirk is coming off a 4 interception game. He could just as well come back, hopefully not this week, but next week and throw 5 interceptions and, 380 yards. I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. And so we knew that there was going to be a lull to the season and he was going to have an average game. But consistently, week after week after week, he just keeps getting better in little small areas. And, especially late with it, just taking care of the football and not pressing. And I still continue to love the fact that he uses his legs.
Right.
I think that has been one of the biggest bright spots for this offense and for him specifically is the empowerment of using your legs when you need to, keeping your eyes down the field when you break outside the pocket, extending plays, not always thinking that you have to run past the line of scrimmage, but then just noticing moments where you can run for 12 yards in a sort of gotta have it situation late in the game last week where you get Justin Jefferson blocking on the sideline. Like, that is those moments where he's playing fast, he's playing instinctful, he's just feeling the game really, really well. So it's hard to say what is the ceiling for this guy because he seems to be breaking those every single week in some capacity.
You would say Gus Frerotte had a really good arm, right?
Yeah.
A strong arm. Okay, so Ben Leber played with, among others. Oh, you played with Phillip Rivers too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so Ben played with Drew Brees, strong arm. Phil Rivers, strong arm.
Well, Drew was not.
Drew didn't have his...
He grew into his arm. Like he had like the that kid from Rookie of the Year.
Oh.
He had a situation where at the end of the very last game of San Diego, he tore up his shoulder. He was going to the offseason. Miami passed up on him because he went to Dr. Andrews and like had the shoulder surgery done. For some reason, somehow, his arm was stronger after that surgery than it was when he was in San Diego.
Holy cow.
So he had that span of like, what, 5 or 6 years, 7 years in New Orleans.
Okay.
Where his arm was considered strong.
Yeah.
But then when it fell off, it fell off.
Okay. Well, Ben played with Brett Favre, strong arm. Kirk, and you're familiar with Kirk Cousins, strong arm. Darnold, strong arm. You've said it. Here's what I'm getting at. Is I'm not going to ask you to go through the power rankings of your former teammates with this scenario, but when it comes to like if I say left hash, right boundary, right hash, left boundary, that would mean the hash marks, left hash marks, boundary would be sideline. Sam Darnold from the left hash marks to the right sideline, it's as good as you're ever going to see because it's a hard throw all the way across the field. And we've seen it this year a couple of times. Addison on the 69 was one at Soldier Field. Your guy, Lecca or whatever the linebacker's name was, he just got it right.
Oh, yeah, right over the top of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that right there.
That was a touch throw.
Touch with velocity to get it there.
Yeah.
It's as good as you're going to. That has to be his favorite throw when he's able to face up to the right side, go from the left hash mark to the right sideline, because not many defensive coordinators or players think anybody can make that.
Yeah, it's a hard throw to make.
Right, with touch and velocity, and Sam does.
Yeah, his precision's been outstanding this whole season. I've been really impressed with a lot of different throws, his accuracy on the run, and just how strong his arm is. Now, I would say this: if there was a comparison, Favre had the best arm. He had the most live arm.
Yeah.
There was a flick of the wrist that just seemed that would travel 25 yards on just a frozen rope, right?
You could hear Favre spirals, right?
Oh yeah,
like
he would just like whiz past you, right? There's something stylistically though that if he's making that left hash to right sideline throw, he's throwing it like he's like launching it over there, right? There's like the style of which he throws and which Aaron Rodgers has sort of copied. It's just like off the back foot, flailing. The ball gets there. But when it comes to style, that throw that Sam made, I mean, that's teaching tape, man. I mean, it was great body mechanics. It was layered perfectly with velocity and touch and arc. I mean, it really was. Like I went back when I went back and watched it too. I'm like, I had to rewind. I'm like, that's just a beautiful throw.
Yeah,
it really is.
Now, lastly, Josh Oliver returns for the Vikings. We remember what it was like when he played, but with both games he's out. They won them both. Like with Oliver returning, in what ways will that aid the offense?
Well, I don't know if it's going to matter much against this defense because they're not a pressure heavy, meaning that they don't bring a ton of blitz. They will blitz on passing downs, but I think it becomes a little bit more obvious. You know, he's really, really good when we need a secondary offensive lineman that can provide a little bit of chip, even just his body alignment, having the defensive end having to widen out just a little bit more. He's been phenomenal on this chip and release technique. You know, he's in there for a little bit of pass protection. He's a late, slow release out of the line of scrimmage, and he's just a great outlet that can get down the field. And so going more 12 personnel with him and Hawk on the field, it really does just stress out a lot of defenses. Because what are you going to do? Are you going to play nickel defense against that and expect that to be 11 personnel and then throw nickel out there, but then we run the football on you?
Yeah.
Or are you going to go base personnel? And then guess what? What has Josh shown on tape? He can split out. He can be a pass catcher. He can be that guy. And we know what Hawk can be as the pseudo number 3 wide receiver. So it really messes with the defensive personnel, bless you, what they want to call. And I just think having that ability to keep defenses on their heels, just from a personnel standpoint, great weapon.
Pick your poison, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, Nordo went to the printer. He loves the pick your poison bit. You laid it out exactly how you and I or myself talked about it into the season with Oliver and Hawkinson. This is really now both of them full speed.
Yeah.
For the first time this year. You know, I think they played together like Hawkinson's return. Nothing was noteworthy there. I mean, pick your poison with that defense, but it's defenses in the 12 personnel, both tight ends, Oliver and Hawkinson. What are you going to do? You're going to load up against the run? I mean, pick your poison with that defense because you got 84 over there, or are you going to go nickel or dime because you got 87 over there? And then what if they run Aaron Jones behind 84? And now pick your poison with that defense. Now you're in dime defense.
Well, you know what I really want to see? Because I think you can do it against this defense, because this defense does not move around a lot pre-snap. They're not going to give you a whole bunch of different looks. They're not one of those teams that bluff around, and they don't have safeties that line up in one spot and end up in another. So you can get a decent decent beat on where the guys are going to be. I think that we go 22 personnel.
Meaning
we get CJ Ham out there.
And pick your poison with that defense, and you throw out of that.
You can do whatever you want out of that.
You're a genius.
You can have Hawk as the other wide receiver still, and you can split him out. You got Josh Oliver as the standard tight end. You get C.J. Ham in the backfield. Now you can run power bully football with counter action if you want.
Lorenzo Carter and Matthew Judon want nothing to do with power bully football.
They want nothing to do with that. And then, going back to what I said like 10 minutes ago, then you play action the bleep out of them, and you get Hawkinson over the middle of the field.
You're playing so fast right now. Maple Grove Lock and Safe, thank you very much. Ben Leber, thank you. Watch you on TV today, Channel 5 at 3 o'clock, okay?
Thanks.
That's Ben Leber, not you, Leber. Dan Miller, play-by-play voice for the Detroit Lions, joins about 20 minutes from now. But around the corner, News du Nord.
News du Nord brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. And PA, you know what day it is. It's NFL Pick'em Day at Canterbury, and it's free to play. You just walk in, find a desk in the card casino area, and you're like, hey, I want one of those cool MVP cards that Nordo keeps talking about 9 to noon. They're going to be like, well, hang on a second. They're going to print one off for you. They're free. And then you take that over to the machine where you'll insert said MVP card, and you'll just simply pick the football games coming up this weekend. And if you do the best, you're going to win hundreds of dollars. And they do this every week. By the way, you can, when you stop by, it's up to you. That's fine. But poker, blackjack, table games, having sips at a bar called Chips, and tipping Derek Allen immensely. If he's working today, I'm not sure of his current schedule. But the key is Canterbury has it all. And that doesn't even mention the live racing season that kicks off again in the spring, and the year-round various shows and concerts and expos and all kinds of bits. So first place to start is CanterburyPark.com. You'll absolutely love it there.
Randall, give that man a contract. Damn, that was nice.
They're my favorite people there, man. I love those guys down in Shacktown. Now, I love the Timberwolves, but I want to lay this out for you like this, PA. So this is a week where the Wolves need to feast, and here's why. So the Lakers win a dogfight with Utah the night before a trip to Minneapolis. What happens? Effort was optional. I love the way that you kind of laid that out. And the Wolves pounce. The Wolves win in heavy-like fashion. The Clippers, 2 nights ago, blew out the Blazers the day before hosting the Wolves out in L.A.
Right.
What happens last night? James Harden goes 1 of 10, and the Wolves again win by nearly 30.
I picked a great week to make James Harden sound like a cross between Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Wilt Chamberlain with Chris Finch. Because, this audience got to see him last night.
Yeah, he was awful.
Well, just LeBron and AD, okay? Hey, J.J. Redick clearly convinced one of them or both of them to play in that Wolves game where they generally take games off.
Yep.
Okay, he had to have. Well, there's a difference between actually putting on your uniform and walking out in front of people and trying. And that was James last night. He just looked different.
No, he didn't care.
These veterans, these ones in the over 35 years of age, and what? It's almost getting to the what? I got to play back to back? Are you kidding me? That's what they look like last night.
It's probably not cool, and local cred, like Amir Coffey's getting a ton of run right now for the Clippers, which is great for Amir and the local cred and all of that.
Yeah.
But that kind of tells you the state of things on a back-to-back with Kawhi. They're trying to figure out. You love Norman Powell. There's no doubt about that. But
and he sat out last night to make it easier for the Howl.
Correct, he did. And Bones Highland. How about Bones?
Yeah, his first shot went up the side of the backboard. Bones Highland, what in the hell are we doing here?
And he ended up leading the team in scoring last night.
They never play Bones. They're so stuck because everybody's in functioning tankability mode because this era doesn't want to play back-to-back. It's too taxing. So we're going to dust off Bones, have him shoot a 3 from the corner. First one goes up the side of the backboard.
So how about this? The Wolves continue that West Coast swing with a trip to Golden State tomorrow night, PA. Well, the Golden State Warriors are playing the gritty Houston Rockets tonight.
Wow.
In the late game.
Wow.
So they will catch their 3rd consecutive opponent on the back end of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
If they don't win tomorrow night, now it's still Steph. That team started super hot, kind of falling off a cliff. The Warriors are, and it's just lack of explosion, lack of offensive talent, many things. It's an older team transitioning in a way, but they have to absolutely feast on the Dubs tomorrow night.
Yeah, for the Warriors, one of their alleged sharpshooters The guy Kuminga's name is starting to sound more like a leg rash.
I always love that.
Than a guy who can hit 6 threes in a game. He's Kuminga. Why are you scratching so much? I got Kuminga.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like an ailment that requires a check and some penicillin. There's no doubt about that. And I think they recently, speaking of, they recently pulled him out of the starting lineup, so we'll see the Dubs tomorrow. But we're going to see the Dubs tonight. You can catch them facing off against Dylan Brooks and Amin Thompson and Jalen Green. Oh my, with the Rockets tonight in the late game. But the Wolves, Julius Randle handling his business last couple of games in these situations. The Wolves have looked pretty good. You got to see 20 minutes out of Josh Minot last night, taking advantage of it. Luka Garza, instant offense, 4 of 5 from the field in just 8 minutes on the court. But I will say this, Anthony Edwards has been playing the last 2 games like he was on the back end of a back-to-back.
No, I'm going to respect.
You don't think so?
No, because LFL, and I'm deep diving Anthony Edwards game logs for LFL and Finch chats, period.
Right.
And I see what you're saying, okay, with the scores in the teens, the assists and the rebounds. It's kind of middling there or staying the same 3, 4, 5, 6 around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. The box scores, comparatively speaking to last year, are down. However, that has to be by design.
You think so?
Well, yeah, here, I don't, it's...
I mean, massive advantage last night, so you are mixing in a lot of different players, but right. I still see, and I don't know know how it is with Ant. I was talking about it a bit with Cindy. It's like, is his mentality different because it's post-Cat? And I know the new guys, we talk so much about how they're fitting in, but how's Ant handling truly being on the mantle, right? And we saw it early where he's taking 14 threes a game, and he's, by the way, he's shooting like 43% from deep, so don't get mad at the kid. He had a 1 of 6 night, I think, last night, but overall he's doing well. But it's like, how much has Anthony changed, or does he need to change to make this thing work as well?
But it's changing.
Still in the process?
Yes. Okay. I mean, Julius ain't trying to let Ant get 40. And Ant ain't trying to let Julius get 40. Okay, so let's just look at it that way.
That's
Nobody
fair.
will say it that way. But
maybe that's part of the bet.
We've seen enough of Julius Randle now to know that there are a lot of validated things that we said 9 to noon into the season, comparing him and Karl Anthony Towns. They're just different human beings.
Right.
I'm just saying, Ant ain't trying to let Julius get 40, and Julius ain't trying to let Ant get 40.
That's fair.
But in there, we might have a 38, and the other one has a 16, something like that. But I just really hope that they're like, it isn't loud, or it hasn't been loud when they were losing and they were 8 and 10, with finger pointing of those being like, you blew it on the trade.
Right.
Okay? Because yours truly was as guilty of that as anybody after the Gobert trade. And then we watched that season, and I'm like, all right, well, we can argue this all you want, but the last time I saw Rudy Gobert, he was throwing a punch at a teammate at a home game.
Oh, yeah, slow-mo.
The same game, Jaden McDaniels got frustrated, punched concrete or something metal, and broke his wrist. So other than that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play? Yeah, this is working out great.
Into the playoffs, by the way.
Into the playoffs. So when Connolly was second-guessed hard and loudly, if he was so inclined, he could have told tens of thousands, in your face, Milwaukee, you let me do my job and you do yours.
Yeah.
And it may not bear its fruit immediately right in front of our very eyes or ears on KFAN, but it will. That's what I think's happening here.
Okay.
Is that, it took Edwards. I mean, when Edwards goes public with the MFs are soft.
And we're front runners.
Yep. Which plays back to an age-old thing with Finch and I, as this year goes, really from the second week, being like, is the push-button mentality, is that a little bit of a problem here? And Chris and I talk about it a lot on the radio. Well, Ant daggered it. He's like, you're front runners. Nobody's going to go to Ant and say, okay, well, you're soft and you're a front runner, because he's not. And he's shown at the highest level, including the Olympics, what he's capable of. Nobody else has. So he can say that. They haven't lost since he said that. And they've blown out 2 teams. So circumstances be damned, and the circumstances matter. They still have blown out 2 teams.
Yeah.
Ever since he said that. So you're right. Like I said, you're right. I mean, Anthony's game is different, but there's a metamorphosis of something developing here that I think is going to lead to the greater good.
Well, let's root.
At least hopefully.
Let's root for a to-the-wire, absolute dogfight. And the Wolves come out on top then tomorrow as another team on the back end of a back-to-back. Meanwhile, Minnesota Wild. Talk about a Wednesday injury info dump. Jonas Brodin, week to week with an upper body injury.
Oh, wow.
Jules-Eric Neck, week to week with a lower body injury.
Wait, didn't I hear you yesterday, either with the coach or later in the show, about the new guy who got hurt?
New guy.
The defenseman, the one we traded for.
Oh, Juracek's just going to take time. He's not hurt. But Jules-Eric Neck did get nicked up. Got beaten on a couple of times the other night in that game against the Canucks. But it sounds like he's already dealing with something. He's week to week. Zuccarello, week to week with a lower body injury. And Lauko, day to day with a lower body injury. So the Wild might be shorthanded. The best team in the NHL heading to Anaheim tomorrow night. That's all I got. News to Nord style, PA.
Tonight, Green Bay and the Detroit Lions, 7:15. It's Thursday night football. Play-by-play voice Dan Miller calls Lions games, assumedly for profit. He joins 9 to noon around the corner to give us a preview of this big fat game tonight on KFAN.